box and think Ghana, it is now. I am confident that with the Almighty God on our side, we will together ride the current storm.
Presenting his maiden address, the minority leader, Mr. Cassiel Atuforsen, promised to work together with the old leadership to deliver exceptionally on his mandate.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to express on behalf of my colleagues our profound appreciation and thanks to the immediate past minority leader and my senior brother, the Honorable Haruna Idrisu, for his many years of distinguished public service and his sterling leadership of the Minority Caucus since 2017. Mr. Speaker, his is an honorable political and legislative career which has become a reference point for many who aspire to in politics and particularly in public service. To my colleagues on the minority side, we pledge to offer a fair and unbiased, balanced, consultative and principled leadership in our journey to broaden the frontiers of parliamentary oversight and to hold the Akufo-Addo and the Alhaji Bawumia government to account in a manner that helps deliver public goods.
I believe that the parties, not only NDC, but the parties should do serious introspection on their own parties' constitutions. That is where the problem is. Mr. Speaker, I wish all the former leaders very well wherever they find themselves. Let me take this opportunity to also welcome the new leadership of the minority to their new position. We can work together to build Parliament, and I look forward, and indeed all of us in the leadership of the majority look forward to working with the new leadership in a very professional manner to promote transparent and accountable government that indeed will help to grow Ghana, to improve the living standards of our people.
Sitting was adjourned to Wednesday, February 8 at 10 o'clock in the forenoon. Rachel Quarty, GBC News, Parliament.
Still in Parliament, President Akufo-Addo has made some appointments in his government and reshuffled others. Speaker of Parliament, Mr. Alban Bagbin, announced this in Parliament yesterday.
The resignation on 3rd January 2023 of Mr. Alan as Minister for Trade and Industry, of Dr. Owusu Afriyie-Akoto on 10th January 2023 as Minister for Food and Agriculture, and of Honorable Ebenezer Kojokum, Member of Parliament for Ahanta West, on 3rd February 2023 as Minister for Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. I have, in accordance with Article 78(1) of the Constitution, nominated the following persons to be appointed as Ministers of State in their place, subject to the approval of Parliament. 1. Honorable Kobina Tahir Hammond, Member of Parliament for Adanse Asokwa, Minister for Trade and Industry. Honorable Brian Achampong, Member of Parliament for Abetifi, Minister for Food and Agriculture. Mr. Stephen Asamoah Boateng, Minister for Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. I have further nominated the following persons as Ministers of State. Honorable Mohammed Amin Adam, Member of Parliament for Karaga, currently the Deputy Minister for Energy, as Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance, to replace Mr. Charles Adubuahin, the former Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance. And 2, Honorable Osei Bonsu Amon, Member of Parliament for Akwapim, Currently, the Deputy Minister for Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development, as Minister of State at the Ministry of Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development. I intend to transfer Mr. Herbert Krapper, currently Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, to the Ministry of Energy as Deputy Minister for Energy to replace Honorable Mohammed Amin Adam. I have, in accordance with Article 79(1) of the Constitution, nominated Honorable Dr. Stephen Amwa, Member of Parliament for Nshiaso, as Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry.
To the Jubilee House, meanwhile, at the Jubilee House in Accra, 21 High Court judges have been inducted into President Akufo-Addo urged the new justices to make use of the e-justice system to improve on delivery of justice and build confidence of the people in the judiciary.
It is the sixth induction exercise by President Akufo-Addo, with the swearing in of the High Court justices since he assumed office in 2017. The new justices of the High Court consist of 12 men and 9 women. With this development, these honorable men and women now have the mandate to protect the fundamental human rights of citizens and act as the arbiter between the state and individuals in times of dispute. President Akufo-Addo tasked the new justices to adhere to the principles of hard work, integrity, and live above reproach, since a corrupt judge is a danger to the administration of justice.
The dispensation of justice requires that application of the laws of the land must occur in the hallowed words of the judicial oath you have taken, without fear or favor, affection or ill will. That is, without recourse to the political, religious, or ethnic affiliations of any person before you. When a person falls foul of the law, that person, high or low, must be dealt with accordingly, and the law enforcement agencies, including you, our new judges, must ensure that this is done. That is the true meaning of the concept of equality before the law.
Justice Kwame Poli, on behalf of his colleagues, thanked the President for the confidence reposed in them and pledged to discharge their duties without fear or favor.
We have resolved to discharge our mandated duties as provided by the Constitution and laws of our dear nation, Ghana. Specifically, we promise to work to the best of our abilities without fear, favor, or ill affection towards all manner of persons who may appear before us. Your Excellency, our humble appreciation for approving our appointment is that we are most grateful.
As defenders and bulwark of liberties, the 21 new justices joined the High Court at a time the expectations of Ghanaians from the court system are very high. Edward Nyakun, reporting for GBC News.
Let's take you to the courts now. When Accra High Court has adjourned to February 24, 2023, the determination of whether former CEO of the Microfinance and Small Loans Center, MASLOC, Mrs. Sedinam Tamaklo Ationu, should be tried in absentia or not. The Financial and Economic Court Division of the High Court, presided over by Justice Efiasewa Sariboche, in a previous ruling, declared that the former MASLOC boss has absconded after continuously being absent from court to stand trial.
Is on trial with Mr. Daniel Axim, who is also a former operations manager of MASLOC, on 78 counts of willful causing financial loss to the state, stealing and contravention of the Public Procurement Act, among other charges. They have both pleaded not guilty to the charges. The former MASLOC boss was admitted to bail in the sum of 5 million cedis, but has since October 2021 failed to appear in court for the trial to progress, following permission by the court to travel out of the country for a medical checkup. The court has already forfeited her bail bond to the state and ordered her 2 sureties, a former chief executive of the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, Mr. Alex Mode, and an actor, Mr. Gavivina Tamaklo, to pay the 5 million cedis bail sum to the state. A medical report submitted by counsel for Madame Tamaklo Ationu reveals that she will require an extra 6 to 9 months medical treatment. According to the medical report, she has been diagnosed of an eye problem and requires treatment. Meanwhile, the trial of a former Deputy Finance Minister, Dr. Cassiel Ato-Forson, and two others at the same court was also adjourned to Thursday, February 9, 2023. This development followed information to the court that one of the accused persons is unwell. Dr. Ato-Forson, together with the former chief executive at the Ministry of Health, Mr. Sylvester Nimana, and a businessman, Mr. Richard Jakpa, have been charged with 5 counts, including willfully causing financial loss to the state, abetment of crime, contravention of the Public Procurement Act, and intentionally misapplying public property. They are alleged to have caused the state to lose more than €2 million in a deal to purchase some 200 ambulances for the country between 2014 and 2016.
Let's take you to the north now, where the protracted conflict in Bawku has resulted in the death of dozens of people, destruction of property, and stalling of development projects. A security analyst, Mr. Vincent Azali Mensah, is appealing to residents of the area to identify things that will end the conflict rather than promote it.
Complicated conflict. Military people even made claims that sometimes the guns that the local people were using, they haven't seen some of those guns before. So it means that at some point the military will need to stamp its foot on the ground and make people feel that the military is capable of bringing things under control. I think that the military high command will take all the necessary steps to investigate and to activate internal mechanisms. If we want to resolve this conflict and end it once and for all, we need to have a comprehensive discussion where we look at the intersection between tradition and religion. We look at the issues of chieftaincy and how it can be done over there. We need time for it. Whether you are Kusasi or Mamposi, when Bawku dissolves, it will affect you. I sincerely want to appeal to people who are residents in Bawku in particular, and people who are from Bawku and who have influence and do not live in Bawku to use their influence to try to appeal to the parties there to understand. And I want to appeal to the security services to check and monitor our borders carefully, so that we will avoid a situation where people cross borders with their guns and bring them there to perpetrate criminal activities that are done sometimes in the name of the conflict.
The Director, Faculty of Academic Affairs and Research at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, Professor Kwesi Aning, says terrorism and violent extremism are among the most serious threats to Africa's stability and development. He asserts that such vices emanate from factors such as poor socioeconomic conditions, marginalization, lack of education, unemployment, and human rights violations. He was speaking in Accra at a dialogue organized by the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center in partnership with the Brenthurst Foundation in South Africa.
There's a disconnect between the political and economic elite and what they say and how they behave, and the hordes of people who are uneducated and unemployed. The state in Africa means absolutely nothing to the people of this continent. Our leaders have failed, and they continue to fail. In their they lie. They tell stories and make promises that they know they cannot fulfill. And that disconnect creates an anger, a frustration that then allows the narratives of those who want to destroy the state, the extremists, to sound rational and to give hope. Because those who have appropriated the leaders of the state have failed to deliver. People are desperate, and anyone who will give them hope, like a sinking or a drowning person, they will hang on to it. So we need a new narrative, a narrative that gives hope predicated on trust, on self-respect, and on honesty. A political narrative that says, we've come to serve, that you matter.
Away from conflict matters, pensioner bondholders still want an exemption from the debt exchange program despite a 7th February deadline. The pensioners continued their planned picketing at the Finance Ministry yesterday. Convener of the group, Dr. Edouard Nanenchi, insists they will continue to picket until they are exempt from the debt exchange program.
Well, we will still continue to picket here and ensure that we are exempted. The closing day is today, but even if we have applied, the government can still decide not to accept your the tender that you have made. So we have hope that we can still get exemption, in spite of the fact that the period is ending today. If we don't get, we will still be holding our bonds. We are not accepting the new bonds as it is. We want to maintain our old bonds, get our old coupons.
The Republic of Ghana, of course, through the Ministry of Finance, reserve the right to amend the coupon, to extend the maturity date. And they have assumed upon the right to vary all the commercial terms is in this new coupon that he say is given out in essence for what we already have. And this is not acceptable. The laws of Ghana per the Pension Act says that the main purpose is to ensure pension income security, assuming without admitting that I even go to this new bond. You are saying that you can change the coupon at your own discretion without resorting to me.
Still on finances, government will raise 2.76 billion on Friday, February 10th, 2023 to refinance Treasury bill maturities worth 2.53 billion cedis. Now, this will be issued via the 91-day, 182-day and 364-day bills. With such a large size on offer, the yields are expected to continue the upward trajectory, but marginally following the domestic debt exchange program, which has triggered the suspension of the issuance of bonds. The short-term securities market remains the only source of borrowing for the government. Consequently, investors have no option than to invest in the Treasury market for gains. Last week, the government mobilized 1.95 billion cedis from the Treasury markets as it accepted all bids tendered. Now, the uptake exceeded the auction target by 30%. The yields on the 91-day and 182-day tenors rose slightly to 35.75% and 35.81% respectively, but within the 35% bracket. Let's move on back to the north, where the overlord of the Gonja state, Yagbonwura Tutumba Boresa I, has been laid to rest at the Yagbon Royal Museum in Mankuma. The late Yagbonwura Tutumba Boresa died at the Jakpa Palace on Sunday, February 5th, at the age of 90. Per Gonja tradition, the late Yagbonwura's body was transported to Nyange, the traditional transit point of every Yagbonwura, and then to Mankuma, where he was buried. Thousands of Gonja royals and other mourners were at Mankuma to bid the late king farewell. The late Yagbonwura Tutumba Boresa I was born to Yape Bakari, the son of Yagbonwura Mahama of Kuso and Manyel Mbale Chiraba in the early 1930s. He'll be remembered for leading the Gonja state to petition government for the creation of the Savannah region and his role in bringing peace to the long-standing Dagbon conflict. Let's take you to the international front now. Still worrying events following Monday's 7.8 magnitude earthquake in Turkey. Rain and snow are now affecting rescue efforts as specialized teams from many nations assist in the search for survivors. Meanwhile, Ghana's ambassador to Turkey, Mrs. Francisca Ashite Odonton, has assured that all Ghanaian students in Turkey are safe.
We don't have any dead people. The only person who is injured Achu.
Okay.
You know, there were reports, I'm sure you've read all the reports, that one said he had been found, one said he had not. But the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Turkey has confirmed to me that he has been rescued, found, and is in hospital, receiving medical attention. Most of the people in the worst affected areas are students. And the worst affected areas, we have the epicenter, which is the Kahramanmaraş, yes, and Adana and Gaziantep. We had 10 students in Gaziantep. All of them are accounted for. In Adana, we had 7 students. All of them are accounted for. And we had 1 student at the epicenter, that is the Kahramanmaraş province. But that was just 1 student. Unfortunately, or thankfully, she was in Istanbul. Earthquake struck.
Okay.
So they are all accounted. But what they tell us is they are not able to go into their buildings. Nobody is allowed because it's too risky for that. So currently they are in the makeshift tents that have been provided by the Turkish government. All the airports have been closed. As soon as they are open, what we intend to do is to evacuate them and bring them to Ankara. We all know that this is a tragic moment, but as they keep telling us, the search and rescue efforts are ongoing. Our thoughts and prayers are with them, and we'll give any support we can, especially to the Ghana.
And the rescuers are still battling the heavy rain and snow as they race against the clock to find survivors of a devastating earthquake in southeast Turkey. More than 8,000 people were killed and 15,000 injured in Turkey and over the border in Syria when the quake struck in the early hours of Monday. And the World Health Organization has warned the toll may rise dramatically as rescuers find more victims. As day breaks, rescue teams are stepping up their search for survivors. Many people in the disaster zone have been too scared to go back into buildings. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, the 7.8 magnitude tremor struck at 4:17 GMT on Monday at a depth of 17.9 kilometers. That's 11 miles near the city of Gaziantep. Let's take you to Malawi now, where the High Court has lifted a recent government suspension of the head of the Anti-Corruption Bureau, ACB, Martha Chizuma, a move that could see her return to work sooner than expected. Ms. Chizuma's suspension was last week announced by the Secretary to the President and the Cabinet, Colleen Zamba. She was last week suspended following an audio leak of allegedly pointing fingers to top government officials and judicial officers for hindering fight against corruption. She was later sued by an official, which later culminated into her suspension. The lawyer cited the country's laws referring to the president as the only person permitted by law to suspend her. Let's now see the exchange rate and the commodities, if the dollar has risen against the cedi or not. And now bring you the weather forecast for today. Felicity, I have here on your Chief Meteorological Officer, the Ghana Meteo Agency, joins us on the phone lines. Good morning, Felicity.
Good morning, Oziti.
looking like for today, Wednesday?
Today is fairly good across 16 regions.
Great. Break it down for us.
Yeah, for the coastal strip this morning, we are having some slightly misty conditions over most areas. Visibilities are still okay. We are having some partly cloudy sky also over Greater Accra, and then part of the Ashanti, part of Gosu area this morning. By mid-morning, we expect the sun to come in, and then the state of the sky will become partly cloudy over most areas. The north will have some few high and medium clouds with the usual slightly hazy and dry conditions prevailing over those areas. In terms of temperatures, Greater Accra is expected to record 33 for today. We are going to have Asane, Bibiani, Obuasi, Takoradi, and its environs. Temperatures are expected around 32. Going to Kumasi, 35. Going to Katekrachi, 36, 37. Going to Tamale, 38 is expected for today. And likewise, those of us over Bolga, Navrungu, Boku, Sandema, Tumu, and its environs. For the state of the Volta Lake today is also expected to be calm, so fishing activities can go on. For the sea, we are having some rain and thunder clouds close to Axim, Takoradi, secondary area, so it may not be conducive for fishing activities this morning. By midday, we expect it to shift into Côte d'Ivoire so they can resume their fishing activities. For any other things that maybe we're having some 30% chance of rain over Greater Accra, part of Eastern region, and part of Ashanti region in the afternoon to the evening hours. If it's going to bring distraction, we'll definitely release weather warning or weather alert.
Felicity. Now, with the nowcasting, is it on your website? How do our viewers get to benefit from the nowcasting you've introduced?
Yeah, the nowcasting, we are hoping that by June we will go operational. It's not likely to be on the website, but then the product will be on our website that they can have access to it. But the tool itself will be with us at GMET office, at the forecast office, where we will be using to monitor the rainstorms that the chart will tell us that will pop. Then we can issue the weather alert or warning.
Great. I must commend the Ghana Meteo Agency because the Twitter handle of Ghana Meteo is really active. I keep getting the notifications, but that brings us to the report and GTV Breakfast News. I am Multi Decider Sadiq. There's more news when you log on to gbcghanaonline.com, where you can watch the weather updates on Facebook Live at GTV Ghana, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, where we're streaming live. Now, up next is Health Check. After this break, women are close to our heart, so we're looking at issues surrounding women's health, and then we'll look at Trash to Cash, the headlines with Oscar and Capito, and then I'll bring you sports at 7. Stay with us.